Hello and welcome to part 2 of this Starfall Collective short adventure entitled Elf Vampire Mystery, in which our heroes attempt to solve the mystery of who, among a bunch of elves, is a vampire. Like my literary hero Philip K. Dick, I am incredible at naming stories. It's a joke. He was notoriously bad at naming stories and novels. I am your DM for the evening. My name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my things and stuff at matthewtalamini.com. That's MATTHEWTHEALAMINI.com.
His mom worked with him for a long time to get that guy, so send him the thumbs up, all right?
I know, yeah. It didn't take that long. With me tonight is Joshua Suich. Say something, Josh, so the kids at home can match up your voice with your name. Introduce yourself and describe the character you're playing tonight, please.
This is me. I am Josh. Tonight I will be playing Takeshi Kinkuchi, the golden-tongued, golden-mouthed bard who does lots and lots of stage theater and puppets and magic and tells all kinds of stories, traditional stories told in vivid modern magic technology. That's me.
Excellent. Aaron Crossfield.
Howdy.
Yes, same deal.
Same deal. I'm playing Rose Petui. She's elf, youngish, prone to luxury and decadence, but finds herself stumbling into adventures every now and again. Technically a rogue, comes from poisoning people. I mean, her people are poisoners.
You had a great line last time when you were describing your character about how like luxury ain't cheap or something like that. It was great.
Nice.
Always hunting that gold.
You have to poison a lot of people to get where their family has got in this world. Do you still have the dossiers that I sent you last time?
Yes.
I do not have them pulled up, but I do have access to them.
Through the power of the internet.
Here we go.
Through this series of tubes, the information is brought to me.
Yep. You are hunting a vampire. You have the dossiers of the suspects, and you know the following facts about vampires. Remember, they do not cast a shadow. They cannot enter running water, and sunlight hurts them. You've already determined that Lady Ichika of the Fuchsia Badger clan is not the vampire, since she was happy to walk with you, Lady Rose, into direct sunlight earlier in the day, and she suffered no harm from it. As for the rest, we still don't know. Now, let me lay out the scene. We are at the beginning of this party that the characters have engineered in order to catch this evil undead fiend creature. Not technically a fiend, but very bad. The town of Kabimachi, constructed in the middle of nowhere as a high elf nobility vacation spot. Rolling, grassy hills sculpted into the shape of branches, gigantic branches, so that the traditional elven architectural styles won't seem so very out of place. Small by mansion standards, Duchess Yuma's house, nevertheless, boasts a ballroom, an auditorium, a sizable entry foyer, kitchen, servants' quarters, bedrooms, guest rooms, observatory, library, and gymnasium. The party is taking place only on the bottom floor. That floor comprises the following areas. To the south, there's an outdoor courtyard, which is accessible from the branch or hill below by stairs or by a pulley elevator that, servants will haul people up on. There's a grand entryway north of that courtyard that lets guests into the foyer, where hundreds of different little refreshments have been arrayed. The full staffs of 3 whole kitchens exhausted themselves creating this much exquisite variety. with tactical purpose. West of the foyer, the ballroom. East of the foyer, the auditorium. Since you know that vampires do not cast shadow, you've set up a shadow puppet show in the auditorium, run by Takeshi's retinue of actors, and arranged so that when you give the signal, the screen will fall down, ostensibly by accident, and the members of the audience will be flooded with bright light. During that time, you hope a keen-eyed observer will be able to detect which among them has no shadow. In another scheme to expose your suspects to bright light, you've built a toad racing track in the courtyard, an eminently fixable contest, especially with Rose's, shall we say, pharmaceutical skills. Each toad represents one of the suspects' noble houses and has been clothed in their livery, and the winner will be brought up onto a brightly lit dais to receive their prize. Since you know that vampires are hurt greatly by running water, you've also caused the ballroom to be waxed within an inch of its life and tilted so that the floor is at a steep angle and what I believe you referred to as a water slide maze to be constructed there, a delightful entertainment for the young at heart. When we ended our first session, Takeshi had just opened the water slide entertainment. All of these things that I've described are currently sort of closed off and shut down and not really revealed or open yet. The auditorium doors are closed. There are polite servants sort of standing in front of them. The toad race is sort of, the toads are not visible. They're in there's like a little shack set up with like a tarp over it or silk cloth over it. And the doors to the ballroom were closed, but they have only just now been thrown open. Servants are standing by to help guests undress or dress themselves to their own comfort as they go into the watery entertainment, and to keep their clothes safe while they play on the water slides. And there are lots of dry towels available for when they finish. Now, let me describe the sort of disposition in the room, in the foyer of the various guests. They've sort of formed themselves into your suspects, at least, although there are other guests who have not joined these groups. All of your 7 suspects seem to have drifted into about 3 different groups, roughly. What I'll call the young group, the group of younger, more fashionable elves, the cool kids, flirting and joking near the southeast corner of the room, laughing and maybe doing comic impressions of the older generation. This group includes Duchess Hashime of the Azure Toad and Duke Shiku of the Crimson Eagle. You see that Duchess Hashime is wearing a very chic, fashionable veil that covers much of her face. Another group is the serious group. You could think of them that way. They're not laughing as much. This is a few more of the more intellectual or dour elves talking earnestly amongst themselves about the issues of the day. Among them are Lady Ichika of the Fuchsia Badger, Lady Awasi of the Drab Nettle, and Sir Koto of the Emerald Lily. If you remember, these are sort of conveniently letter-coded by the colors. So this is, the young group has A and C. The serious group has D,
E, and F.
F and E, D, E, and F. Sir Koto and Lady Awasi's costumes could not contrast more. He's wearing as many as 10 different layers of colorful dyed silk, almost a walking advertisement for his family business, which, if you remember, is silk factories based in the city of Daigo. Yet the conversation, despite the fact that she is wearing the simplest, sturdiest, sort of khaki-colored robes, if drab is actually like I think official
green.
camouflage designation. Yeah, so she's sort of dull plant-like dark greens and browns. Yet the conversation, whatever it is, has animated her features. She's very engaged, while he remains somewhat aloof. The final group you could call the military group, which is General Elentaro and Captain Hiro, standing together near the entrance. Lady Yuma has approached them and is trying to sort of incorporate their glumness into the joy and life of the party, trying to introduce them around to different people, but neither of them seem very interested. Elentaro, of course, technically sort of coming out of mourning for his nephew who fell victim to the vampire and became a vampire spawn recently, although that fact is not widely known.
So, Josh, your character and my character so far have not had any chances to get together and huddle. We separated immediately and then flying on our own. Can we get together before this party kicks off? Well, we kind of kicked it off, but as the thing is opening and people are starting to spin, can you and I get together and huddle up and make a strategy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's that moment will happen. I think when there was one thing that I told Matt that I really wanted to do just as things popped off. So let me do that real quick, and then we'll get to a place where I think he would come find you. So just as the party, as he turns into this jade and gold naga, Takeshi, kind of hauls the crowd into, leads the crowd like a Pied Piper into the water room, and turns and sticks his head out and winks at, I believe it's Lady Awasi is the one who has the shroud on her face. Is that correct?
No, that's
that would be Duchess Hashime of the Azure Toad.
Duchess Hashime, that's right.
Wearing a veil.
Veil, there, I've got the note there. He winks at her and beckons her to come with him into the waterfall slide room.
She sort of looks away and then looks back at you. And how flirtatious is this wink? Is this like a...
he doesn't look like himself. He's in full character costume and everything. So I think he's playing into it, and it's pretty fun. Pretty, it's not like creepy pervy, but it's fun. It's not just I'm an old man wink. It's he's trying to throw some vibes.
Right. It's within.
He fancies himself still a viable match for romance.
Okay, great. That is what I was asking. Is this meant to tempt her with like possible romantic liaison of some kind?
I think my read of that situation is that they would both know that this is like, we're just having fun at a party. I don't think she would think that he's taken this moment to make his real intentions known or anything like that.
Right. But it's flirtatious.
Sure.
So when you do this
persuasion,
make me first a insight check, and then go ahead and make me that persuasion check.
Okay, I am very good at insight, and that is a 27 insight into the situation at hand.
So Duke Shiku is who's standing near her, sees your wink and does not respond favorably to it. Seems to you that maybe he has set his designs on the lady and is not interested in seeing you flirt with her in this way. Now, go ahead and roll me that. And for a 27, you see that even past the veil, you can sort of tell from her body language that she is definitely not here to find a serious suitor or anything like that, but she's generally open to flirting, but there's something in there that makes her standoffish. Something is there. I have to tell you, you rolled 27. I have to tell you like a lot. And what you perceive with that good of a roll is that she is standoffish a little bit, but you don't quite understand what exactly, in what way.
So as she
Now
draws,
go ahead and make that. Go ahead and make that persuasion check.
the persuasion check is a back-to-back 17. So 17 plus 9 is 26. I have read and manhandled guys. He's going to start a YouTube channel, and he's going to tell all the other young elves how to snatch all the ladies just right at the parties.
Okay.
It
so
will
you
be
see,
super cringy.
I'll bet. That'll be awesome.
In the cartoon of this, you can see like a cloudy pink heart sort of come out of the wink and drift towards her and poof against her face.
I
And it
love it.
smells like jasmine and tea olive bushes,
And you see that she sort of gestures to Duke Shiku and the other young people in the group, like, "Come on, this looks like it'll be fun. Let's do it." And that whole group sort of starts making their way towards the watery entertainment.
See, this is the key. You got to get the trendsetters, and then they do the work for you. All right.
Yeah, they follow her, and she does not take off the veil, but she does take off a few of her like outer layers, as do the rest of them. Some of the crazier young ones strip down to like an undershirt and pants.
Right.
But this is a culture where it's like lots of clothes all the time. So like the most they're going to actually get undressed to go in the water is like still a couple layers.
Don't worry. The foam and the soap and the nitrous oxide are coming in phase 2 of the party. So he kind of steps back and watches all 3 of them come in, and presumably there's like jets of running water shooting across the floor and stuff, and he kind of just watches all 3 walk into the room.
Yeah, there's more than 3. This is a group of like 5 or 6. It's
but
those
specifically those 3 nobles that were in the hunting party.
I think we've just got 2. We've got Hashime and Shiku.
Yep, you've just got 2 of them in this party.
Okay, very good. Very good.
Yeah, both of them, along with the others, they do go into the entertainment, and you're going to sort of follow them and watch them and make sure they actually get in the water.
Oh yeah, just for a moment. Yeah, I mean, presumably they're coming in to engage in activities. So,
yep,
I know she's game, and if she starts doing it, Shiku is not going to let her out of his sight.
While this is going on, do you do anything, Rose?
I think where we last left me, I was wandering around the room, following the torch bearers who were offering snacks to see if I could spot any shadows. And I'm content doing that until I can huddle up with my partner here.
Okay, well, give me one of these people who you approach for that purpose, so you can actually make a roll for it.
You know what? Let's try and get what we can about the military crew.
Okay.
I feel like it's the start of the party. If I'm ever going to approach them, it has to be before things get going. While I'm still, while they are still.
So Lady Yuma is speaking with the 2 of them as other guests come in the door. So what you see another guest come in the door, and Lady Yuma sort of like says hi to that person, and then sort of tries to introduce the general to this other elf, and then they say a few polite words to each other, and then the other elf is like, "Okay, I'm going to check out the food now," and the general's like, "Nice to see you again," and then they go on, and it doesn't really click.
Okay.
And Lady Yuma is standing around, and When
And
she
she's the
sees you,
hostess
she
and she's
says,
kind of
"Oh,
socially trapped. So if I can swoop in now, that's a good time. Okay.
great." So
I'll
how do
swoop
you
in, engage
describe your
them.
swooping in?
Oh, uh, compliments to the hostess and flat out admiring, asking the military gentleman about the most recent adventure. Did they in fact see a dragon? I heard that they did, and I heard that they beat off somebody in the forest, and I heard that they narrowly avoided a quicksand thing. And I just think they are the bomb, and I want to hear the stories straight from their own mouths.
Mm-hmm. Captain Hero is well. You know what? Roll me. You're not really trying to persuade them to do anything, and you're not really performing artistically. So I think maybe this is just a straight up charisma roll.
Well, she
Oh
is
dear, I'm very
persuade. She's
bad
trying
at
to
that.
draw him in conversation, right?
Okay.
She's trying to
Yeah, if I
persuade
could
him.
persuade them, that'd be better than charming. That'd be
Yeah. So go ahead
So-
and roll persuasion for whether you can draw them out
Okay.
into this conversation.
Alrighty. Got a 19 plus my own 10 is a 29.
Oh,
They are really eager to talk.
They are very eager to talk. You've captured
You're in the
them.
crosshairs.
At first, it's Captain Hero who's talking to you, and you can see that General Elantaro is sort of he wants to maintain his august facade of dour, like sadness and depression. But as he hears his friend and sort of employee describing this battle with the dragon and their sort of very brave retreat from that dragon,
Yeah.
and the tactics and the strategy of it, he jumps in to correct him on a minor point, and then draws back again, and then jumps in to correct him on a minor point again. And while they're talking, you're able to get yourself into place to try and get a torch really close to one of their faces, so that you'll be able to. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to rotate our crew a little bit, and I'm going to signal for a torch food person to come on over to us because we are off to the side. And he'll bring over food, and he'll bring over a torch right near my guys.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said before, this is going to be a really hard roll because there are other torches around, and it's sort of a dimly lit space where the edges of shadows are difficult to perceive. The difference between one torch's light and another torch's light is not very distinct.
Oh no! Wait a sec. I just realized I rolled perception, which I'm really great at. I didn't roll persuasion, which I'm really bad at. So I might not have had a 29.
What did you? No, you rolled a 19. So what's your persuasion score? What's your persuasion modifier?
My persuasion is a +0.
So
yeah,
still
but
at 19.
I think with a 19, you're still able to engage them.
Okay.
It's maybe not quite as entirely entranced as I may have described.
Okay.
Unmitigatedly domineering.
Okay.
Yeah. So roll me. I guess sleight of hand, or
now I want
maybe
perception. I want to see all the
maybe
shadows
perception.
I can see.
Yeah. Okay. Perception.
Okay. I got an 18 plus my 10, 28.
Yes.
28 is very good.
I can just taste all the little visual nuggets of truth you're about to pick up off the hors d'oeuvre plate.
Let's see.
And just then you receive a message directly into your mind from Kinkuchi, and he says,
Nice.
remember to check with Elantaro and Hiro independently if you can. Ask them who were the last back to the village. Lady Ichika said that she was almost last back. We discussed this.
Okay.
He just kind of notices from through the crowd's part, and he sees them over there talking, and so he sends the message.
Cool.
So so you are able to see the edge of a shadow cast by Captain Hiro.
Yay! That bodes really well because if one of them were bad, I'm pretty sure they would have turned the other one at the earliest convenient opportunity, or I guess when they got hungry, or whatever it is that motivates vampires. So that's not evidence for General Elantro, but there's a chance of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, your character's name, Josh, is
Takeshi Kinkuchi.
Takeshi. So,
Lord Kinkuchi or Takeshi.
Takeshi, you just inside of the water entertainment, you do see your two targets actually get into the water and slide down,
Nice.
and they slip down, giggling, and sort of fall into a giddy pile in the pool at the bottom, and get up and run back up to the top. And the other elves they start a game where like they're trying to slide past each other and sort of swing each other around in the slides, and there's all sorts of frolicking and horseplay going on. And you see every one of these young elves is covered in flowing water, splashing around. Nice. None of them seem harmed at all by it.
So we are down to Lady Awasi, Sir Koto, and the General.
Lady Awasi, you met with and spoke with, and we cleared her, did we not?
No, I think we cleared Lady Ichika, the animal girl.
Oh, okay.
Lady Awasi is the Drabnittle merchant.
That's right. So we're down to either Elantaro, Awasi, Koto, or Ichika. Okay.
Ichika's out.
Ichika's out.
Yeah, I saw her shadow.
Right.
And she wasn't hurt by the sun.
Oh, I just marked the wrong one. I'm sorry. That's what it was. Okay. So really, I mean, it's like Sir Koto, Lady Awasi, probably one of those two, if we're going off the theory that Elantaro and Hiro are close. So
yeah. So a scholar and a silk. I mean, they're both merchants. Maybe we can get them together on something like that and take them both out at the same time. Although if they're
Lady Rose, standing by the door, you there's a sort of commotion outside. Not much of a commotion, but there is something happening, and you hear the clatter of hooves, and a servant leads somebody in messenger's clothes, like dusty leather traveling clothes, in through the front door. And you can, as the door opens, you can see another servant leading an exhausted horse. Never mind, you can't see that from there, but you heard the horse down below.
Okay.
And it sounded very exhausted.
Yes.
Very dull.
This messenger comes in, and he is tired. He's ridden a long way, and he approaches Captain Hiro, and he has a quiet word with him, sort of whispers in his ear, and then hands him a letter. Go ahead and roll me insight.
I got a 7 + 2. I've got a 9.
Okay.
And can she roll to hear him, to overhear the whisper or anything?
If she wants.
What would that be?
That's,
I guess, perception.
Say there, Rose.
Investigation? Oh, perception.
No,
okay.
Perception.
Okay. 12 + 10, 22.
You catch the elven word for Imperial City.
Oh, this is no good. And that's extremely far away. Okay.
You see him. He looks at the page, and he reads it, and then he looks up, and as though he's been surprised, and he looks up, and then he looks down at the letter again, and then he he draws General Elantaro to the side and starts showing him the letter, and they sort of whisper together. At this point, other elves nearby have stopped talking and have started to notice something is going on here. Takeshi, when you emerge from the water entertainment, probably to tell Lady Rose what you've discovered and join information with her. You can cross these names off your list. You see that the guests at the party are starting to notice that something interesting is going on near the front of the room.
Okay.
Other people are
Something
talking.
Suspicious. Why would the messenger not give it to the highest ranking officer in the area? That's weird.
Well, the highest ranking officer just received news that startled him.
Well, the captain received, right? But doesn't the general outrank the captain? So the captain got the note and then he relayed it to the general, and now they are both concerned. I'm just wondering why it went to the captain first. I'm borrowing trouble. Family dynamics. We can move on.
Indeed. Yeah. So,
So if you want to read the room and get a read for what's going on, go ahead and make me your insight check now.
Okay. Hot dog. I'm just getting better. 18 plus 10 is 28.
Okay. So this
They have created the inspection table, and now all the specimens are upon it, and with precision we will inspect them.
Yeah, so you watch the news as some elves talk to the messenger, and the messenger talks to them, and the guests have not read the letter, but whatever the messenger has to say propagates through the room. You can watch this rumor spread as it goes.
As he watches it spread, he scans for the location of Lady Awasi and Sir Koto.
You do notice with that incredible insight check, Lady Awasi, when she gets this news, is shocked. And when Sir Koto, and a strange thing that you notice, or a notable thing that you make note of, is that a lot of people who hear this news, they hear it and they look up and they look right at Sir Koto, and then they look away. But when the news reaches him himself, he hears it and there's no reaction.
Indeed.
And almost everybody is reacting to this news.
Indeed. And do we ourselves hear it propagated?
Yes. One of the elves, tell me what you're going to do to try and find out. Are you just going to...
With that 28 insight, I think if he has already seen the Lady Awasi receive the news, he probably makes a beeline towards the last person he really cares to see react. So he probably gets close enough to just hear the person mention the news to Lord Koto, so he gets to see him react. So it makes sense. I've already seen his reaction, so he probably just hears it and sees it at the same time. So what does Sir Koto hear?
You hear something like, Daigo is fallen. They say it was some sort of out of control Aufblitzen spell or something about plants, vines. They took over the whole city. They say there's not a single building left. Nothing but a mass of overgrown vines and bushes. This doesn't make sense. The elf who you don't know who's relaying this is sort of talking and sort of thrillingly knows that Sir Koto is nearby saying this. But apparently almost half of the Aufblitzen was defeated or destroyed, but I don't see how that can be. It must be just a rumor. It's the strongest military force in the world.
I think Kyusho. Oh shoot, what was the title? It was Koshaku Kinkuchi snaps at the closest hors d'oeuvre server with a torch, beckons them over, snatches the torch out of his hand, and holds it down near the guy's leg to see if it casts a shadow against the ground.
Smart.
Sir Koto,
Oh yeah, he just makes his play right there,
roll me the
and
perception check.
He makes
This
eye
is-
contact with Rose.
This is a very difficult perception check.
All right.
If thus doesn't work, I think we need to semi-poison both of them and drag them into running water and see what happens.
It was on a 15, and then it fell over to a 7. So it's
Oh!
only a 17. So it just depends on how cruel Matthew is. 17 is a difficult DC.
No, this is a. You have to be incredibly eagle-eyed to be able to do this thing you're trying to do. The
Okay.
flickering torchlight. There are other torches around.
Yeah.
You just-
Okay.
You just cannot distinguish whether he is casting a shadow or not. And he looks at you at this point, like, "What are you doing?"
To which your
Ooh.
answer is you're coming over to find out why everyone's staring at him.
Yeah.
We have like temptation for scope creep here. Are we still solving? If our primary goal right now is find the vampire, then let's knock these two out right now with some potion of something, or hurl a sword so they have to be taken to the medic or something, to get them away from everyone else and test out and see if they're really the thing, because it seems like there might be a bigger threat than.
Yeah. So I think.
So let me give you some information. This is news from a very distant city.
It's
Just-
the capital, right?
It's Daigo is actually not the capital, but it's within the capital. It's within the empire's. It's not in the frontier. You are currently in the frontier, very distant from the closely held imperial lands. Daigo is well within imperial territory, and yet it isn't itself the capital.
So we don't have to save the empire. We still just have to find the vampire.
You might need to save the empire,
I think.
but you can't do anything about that right now.
I think Kinkuchi messages Takeshi messages Rose and says, "I have just attempted to seek out the shadow of Lord." Oh man, I got to keep the name sheet
Sir Koto?
there. Yeah, Sir Koto, and have failed. I am now face to face with him. Come.
Okay. Yep. I will.
You can respond with
uh,
like a few words.
on my way.
Okay.
I'm gonna
so at this
stealth on
point-
up.
So he's yeah. Go ahead. So he lost a moment taking a beat to send the message. I take it.
At this, go ahead. If you're going, are you literally going to sneak up so that nobody notices?
Sure. Yeah. I think wait. Who has the note right now?
The
Did
note
it
is
pass
still
all the way to Sir Koto, or was that just word of mouth that got to Sir Koto?
Word of mouth.
just word of mouth.
Okay.
Um,
I want to pick the pocket of whoever is carrying the note on my way over to Sir Koto and
that would be
Koshaku.
General Elantaro has the note.
I'm
and
right
that,
near him.
ladies and
Let's do it.
gentlemen, is how you play a rogue.
Yeah, I guess you can try and get it from you. You're gonna. So he's like, it's not like in his pocket.
Okay.
He's currently he like has it in his hand as he's discussing it. So you're not going to be able to just
Pick a pocket. Okay.
Pick a
Instead, I'm
pocket.
going to give both the gentlemen a glass of wine and then immediately follow it up by giving both of them a tray of food while they are distracted and paying attention to other things so that I can trade between their hands, and they will both wind up with a glass of wine in one hand and a table of food, and I will have a note.
It's like
Okay.
watching a fish being dropped into water. And the
That-
fish is like, water? I know this. It's incredible.
This is great.
This is great.
Yeah, roll me up that sleight of hand.
All righty. I rolled a 12. I have a plus 13, so I've got a 25.
Okay, yeah, they the things pass from hand to hand, and you hand one thing to one person and you take it back from another thing, and they're like trying to follow. It's like the egg in a cup game, and they
Preying upon
egg.
their need to conform to social mores involving being handed things.
And keep it
Yeah.
cool and not freak
They
out
just-
because they have a lot on their minds right now this moment.
And your scheme works, and they end up with like their hands are full of other stuff, and you've got the note, and you are walking away before they even realize that anything has happened. It's probably going to be a couple minutes before one of them's because they're still talking as you're doing this. You've distracted them, and so it's going to be a couple minutes before one of them like decides they want to refer to the note and realizes, oh, I handed that to you. No, wait, I handed it to, who did I hand the note to? Hey, who has that note? Starts looking around.
Okay.
Um,
And then in the meantime, I walk up to Koshaku Takeshi. I give him the note because it's pretty dim for reading, so I haven't read it yet, and I immediately start talking to Sir Koto, who is still standing near Lady Ichika, and I kind of engage her in conversation with him as though she and I are both wondering, hey, Sir Koto, why is everybody staring at you? That gives Koshaku Takeshi, that gives you a chance to read the note, and gives him a chance to say something, I guess.
At this point, as you start putting this sort of plan into action and start engaging them in conversation, Lady Owasi, who's wearing the very dour sort of clothes, she sort of steps in front of Sir Koto and says to you, my friend has received some difficult news. I think that we are going to retire for the evening. It's been a most lovely party, but I'm afraid that for us the night is drawing to a close. And she starts to
with that, Takeshi looks Sir Koto in the eye and says, "But you must compete, friend." Dominate person. He needs to make a
Nice.
saving throw
Okay.
of a DC 17. Yeah.
What's the skill?
It is. Oh, what's the save? It's going to be a wisdom save.
Okay. Ooh. So Koto looks at you, and he you don't see your spell. It does not take effect. It is it's as though you're not quite sure what happened.
I think he then leans in and says, "Well then, before you leave, you must tell me, how is it that you know news that travels faster than the fastest horses of the Emperor's messengers?"
That was a good observation. My interpretation of
And-
his blank was shock. Your interpretation's better.
Well, whether it's better or not, it's at least meant to be provocative.
Possible.
So he kind of leans back and looks him in the eye, and as though kind of giving him a goodbye hug kind of thing, that, too familiar, because they're of the same age bracket. I think they're probably
Sure.
actually friends, more or less,
You've
as
you
to
know
the
him.
older guys in court.
You've bought tons of silk from him, tons of material from his family. You've done business with him before. You're social equals. So, but he is currently being led away by Lady Owasi.
Then he walks up beside him and says this to him,
Okay.
and walks with him as he's walking out.
He looks at you and he says, "I don't know what you're talking about."
All right. Can I make an insight check to see?
Yeah.
Okay. 23.
He's unreadable.
Unreadable at 23. Oh,
Sounds like
man.
we're not playing with a living person.
Lady
Yeah.
Yuma starts to sort of, seeing that they're on their way out and that her party is about to be completely derailed and that her suspects, some of them, are about to leave. She steps up to them and starts to try and like talk to them and convince them to stay and say, "I'm sure we have a wonderful show," and then
And with that, Takeshi turns and spins and bumps into a group of some of the other actors and casts Alter Self. And you hear a loud ringing snap in the room. And Takeshi, out of a poof of smoke, appears in the center of the room and begins this grand narration that rings with music. And there's theatricality. And there's a row of sparklers leading to the toad race, and all of this stuff goes off, and completely convincingly, unless you roll a really good save DC against the illusion, everyone believes that he is in the middle of the room leading everyone to the party. And he begins giving this grand bardic presentation about, in ancient days there were great rivals in the chariots races of the empire. And
okay.
And so
you're trying
to draw everyone, and that's the programmed illusion that he set. And that was the thing that he was standing there muttering to himself. He was basically writing the script and weaving it into the spell. And
so he's kicking off the toad racing event, which
Yes.
is outside in the courtyard.
Without being there.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is I guess a performance check to get
Yeah.
everybody.
How good of a performance did I put together?
You're trying to sort of save the party. You're trying to get everybody back on track.
Oh yeah, buddy. Guys, this is he watches all this happen, and you see a tear trickles down his face, and he mutters to himself, "My greatest performance, and I'm not even there."
I love it.
It's a 25. I mean, he can't do much better. So
yeah. The most of the crowd is completely taken by this. They did just hear a weird rumor from back home, but it could just be a rumor. It's just news, and it might impact Sir Koto, but and it impacts all of them if there's a whole city been destroyed like this. But it could be just fake news, I guess. So they say, I guess we'll just go along with this for now, and and see what these toad races do. And you see the crowd is just sort of streaming past where
Not all
Sir
of them.
Koto.
I don't
Sir
want to
Kot-
interrupt, but as soon as he
Mhm.
finishes with that tier, you see him. He messages Rose, General Ilantaro, and Captain Hero, and says, "Koto is escaping. Get to the front, and quietly get to the front."
They look around and make me, I guess, a persuasion check.
Sure. Oh my gosh. I just rolled a 20. I'm going to start rolling ones really
Okay.
soon. Perception,
So
persuasion, 29.
the two.
Meanwhile, I want to be scooching out down the the pulley elevator so that I can get to Koto's house before he does and prep some poisoning opportunities. I really want to drug these guys. I feel like we can get info out of this if we knock out every remaining suspect.
Okay, so you actually are going to leave the party.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so
with
you
Ilantaro and Hiro,
And
hopefully,
Koto. Yeah,
in
with
tow.
Alantaro,
Yeah.
definitely. Koto, probably. And a Lady Awasi, since
So-
she's accompanying Koto.
by the time you get to Lady Rose, by the time you get to the little elevator, you looking around, you see behind you that the two military elves with their hands on their sabers have stepped in front of Sir Koto and Lady Awasi.
Okay, so I
And
don't leave
are-
after all. Phew. Just in the nick.
They're blocking
it's
them
too
from
fast.
leaving.
Okay.
General Elantaro says to Sir Koto, "Sir Koto, you've had a grave difficulty this night. Perhaps it would be best if you stayed with us."
How ambiguous. Okay.
Indeed, I cannot imagine that such news would do anything but remove the wind from your sails. Come, retire. And he goes to usher folks towards, I suppose, where the ballroom full of puppets are. It's seating. It's a comfortable area. There are a couple of like premium seating areas where you can like be reclined and be
So
cheerful.
way before you get there,
Yeah,
Hiro,
that's the direction that he's trying to lead them towards.
when
that
he sees
seating
that,
area.
when Hiro and Elantaro see that you're trying to get Koto and Awasi back inside, Hiro sort of whispers to you, "What's going on?" They were convinced by your message to them that there was some emergency that they needed to help with.
Yeah.
But now they're not going to continue helping unless they know what it is or they are given some reason to.
He's going to send a message to Elantaro and Hiro and Rose. And he's going to basically say to them, Elantaro, either you, Awasi, or Koto is what turned your nephew. And God, and may all the gods help us if it is you, Elantaro. Come, bring them to the room. I have a way of revealing the evil one. And he kind of bows to them. He seemingly silently, wordlessly, and he bows to them and begins walking in that direction. He wants to be the first into that room because he's going to need to try to set that up.
The floodlights. Nice.
Yeah.
And I will try and trail behind.
Yeah, so the two, Lady Awasi and Sir Koto, they look around suspiciously, but they see that nobody in the party none of the guests are really paying attention to them, and that this is sort of what's happening here will presumably could possibly stay between just the 4 or 5 of you. Lady Yuma is there as well. She's walking with you. And so the two of them sort of exchange looks. And not Lady Yuma, but Lady Owasi and Sir Koto sort of exchange looks and grudgingly follow along with you. They come into the auditorium, and when Lady Awasi sees the apparatus that's set up and the I don't know what you actually use.
It's basically a large rice paper screen,
Mhm.
and it's glowing with backlit light. And you see that female Ganassi with the long scimitar looking blades. You see her just kind of that body shape. If you're attuned, you recognize she is dancing as a shadowy form with her blades kind of writhing around and whatnot.
Yeah, and there are some sort of like beams of light coming past the screen and like sort of hitting the sides of the walls. And when she sees those like beams of direct light, she and Sir Koto stop.
Okay, at this point, I have stepped in the back of the room and I see it's now or never to hit them with the beams, but right now they're kind of shaded by the rice paper. So I attempt to throw my sword and slice through the rope that is holding up the rice paper screen so that it falls all of a sudden.
This is a great move. And Josh's Takeshi's actor does not know the vampire part of the plan, but does know about the suddenly letting the screen fall down plan. So you can make this roll. This is going to be, I guess a ranged attack roll. Which just go ahead and roll me your regular attack roll, but do it with advantage because you have help from the actor behind the screen.
Okay.
So you would
see if I can remember where on my screen I'm going for that.
So your proficiency is a +4. So whatever your dexterity is, it's going to be 4 plus your dexterity, and then roll 2d20.
All right. My dexterity is 20 plus 5.
So it's a plus, so 9. So roll 2d20 and add 9 to each of them.
Yep. And tell me what the higher one is.
Roll 2d20 plus 9 with advantage.
Well,
the higher one is an 11. The lower one is a 2. I have a total of 22.
It's okay. So, you only need the higher one, but 20.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, with a roll of 20, actually, so what happens is that you throw your dagger at this key rope that's holding up the whole assemblage.
Okay.
And the dancer sees this dagger coming and knows, oh, this is the moment. And actually the dagger just nicks the rope a little bit. But the dancer with her scimitar swings and hits the rope in that same spot, and then the screen just comes falling down, and thumps in a cloud of dust rises up through the auditorium, and the beams of light from this powerful light source shoot out, and you're all right there, and you see as Sir Koto of the Emerald Lily is struck by these powerful lights and casts absolutely no shadow.
Hot dog! How about
And he
Lady?
turns. She casts a shadow,
Okay.
and he
How about General
turns
Elantro?
and looks behind him at the wall. He also casts the shadow,
Nice.
and so you can see you're all silhouette. All your shadows are silhouetted against the wall, except for Sir Koto's. And he turns and he looks at you, and he opens his mouth in a hideous scowl, and you see fangs appear. Horrible, evil fangs appear in his mouth. And in an instant, in a moment, his body dissolves into a mist, this green mist that just filters up and starts floating up into the air.
How does he get out of the room?
Not quite yet. You have time to do something if you have something you want to do.
I believe he's still a creature, right? And I can see him. Oh, nuts. Never mind. So I guess oh man.
Can we lock down the room? I have a sneaking suspicion that whatever this dust lands on is going to turn into a choking vine.
So what happens is that Lady Yuma, who is there, says to you, it was Sir Koto. There's no way to catch him in this form. He will have escaped, and yet we can deal with this problem.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. As soon as Takeshi stands there and watches him in a gaseous form for a moment, and then you see Takeshi turn into a gaseous form too and follow him.
Okay.
Look at you.
So what Lady Yuma summons a couple of servants, and she speaks to the military men as well. Lady Rose, and you hear the beginning of this.
Oh,
Takeshi,
sorry. Give me 1 second.
form.
1 second. I'm sorry, Matthew, but hang on 1 second. I can. You transform a willing creature you touch, along with everything it's wearing and carrying, into a misty cloud. While in this form, target has resistance. Target can't fall. I can cast this on a bunch of people, like a whole bunch of people.
So
Basically,
you cast it on yourself, and then you hear her say this.
Okay.
You hear her say the following.
Okay.
And what she says is, gentlemen, we now know who the vampire is. They require a place to sleep at night, during the day, and if they have not got that place, they cannot survive for long. There's only one place that can be. You, General Elantaro, Captain Hiro. How good are you at making arson look like an accident? And the two military men say, the general says, I don't have to be good at it. If I say it's an accident, it's an accident.
You don't have to be good if you run the inspection.
I've seen enough here.
Unless, of course, Agent Crossfield gets you in the crosshairs and she smells a dirty fellow cop.
I might investigate, but I don't know that I'd call it.
Sorry, I apologize, man.
That's all good.
And so, but I think this is, you guys have cracked the case, and this is the end of the adventure here, because
High five.
Good job. What happens is the crew goes back to Sir Koto's vacation house, and they break in the door and they search the house. And by this time, the mist moves very slowly, and you've been tailing it Takeshi, and it hasn't even gotten to the house yet. What you see, Takeshi, is the house, just a little bit of flame, a little bit more flame, and you're not there yet. And then the gas just turns to the side and starts going to the south. Lady Rose, you and the others find inside of this house, among some servants. Oh, and by the way, you have to grab Lady Owasi and slap her a couple times really hard to break the vampire spell on her.
Oh, okay.
It's a
On it.
manual dispel magic.
Awesome.
But when
Classic.
you go into the house, you find that many of the servants are also under the vampire's
Enthralled.
sway, enthralled,
Okay.
and they attempt to keep you, to prevent you from accessing the whole house. But
You have to
with
give them the
two-
full Sean Connery. You have to say, "Listen, mind me," and you have to backhand them.
it doesn't take a whole lot of damage, physical damage, to snap them out of it, and which the general is all too eager to dish out for anybody who tries to stand in the way of one of his operations. And you do find, you actually find a coffin up in the attic with some dirt in it, and the priest of Oberon, who you summon, says, this seems to be the haunt of a vampire, and I will absolutely bless that it should be purged with fire. And so you light it up. You put down some accelerant, some black powder or whatever you have, and set this house ablaze. You station servants around the house to keep the fire from going anywhere else. And the general swears everybody to utmost secrecy about this. Congratulations, super sleuths.
Yay! That
You
was
have
awesome.
cracked
And-
my vampire mystery.
And apparently Daigo still needs saving, so there are adventures that could yet happen.
I think Daigo needs recolonizing by
Good
some
point.
really, really rad young druids that move in together and form a commune in the city.
Nice.
Well, anyway. Thank you, everybody. I think this is where we would normally go for a break, but since we've completed this adventure, I think we're just going to end for the evening now. So thank you very much for joining us for this elf vampire mystery. I had a great time. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us. I hope you'll play with us in season 3. I heard you might.
This was so much fun.
It might be Sir Robert might not run as much of a social game, as this is a very social game that I just ran here. In season
That's
3,
okay.
might not
Once you
be
Once you get a taste for it, you learn how to make any game a social game.
Okay.
right. But this was a very fun adventure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, both of you, for playing with me, and thank you,
Thanks, Matt.
viewers, for watching our little show and following us through this mystery. So we will have some other, I don't know exactly what we've got planned, but there's some other content next week. It's not the official start of season 3 quite yet, but there will be some sort of Dungeons and Dragons content happening here next Monday. So tune in, and remember, failure is beautiful.
If your name is Kodo. Awesome.
This was
So, Robert, are we out?
Oh my goodness.
Are we still going?
Still live streaming?
So Robert's supposed to be here to stop the Twitch stream.
Any minute.
Stop the signal, Mal. Kill me, Mal.
No, we're definitely
Definitely still going. Matt, this was such a fun story. Thank you for making it up.
thank you for playing it.
I'm just glad that I got to use my delayed major image spell. I've never gotten to play a high enough level bard to even cast that spell at all.
Nice.
Aaron, that was seriously really cool. Like you have a great mind for this. It was. We need to play a gritty cyberpunk kind of thing where we get to run around and slap necks and cash checks in the city and just play one big social war, and it'd be awesome. What kind of fantasy stuff do you like? What kind of stories? What kind of genre do you most easily imagine yourself in and daydream in?
Oh, probably half of my fiction reading of my life has been sci-fi fantasy. Not so much horror. Not a horror fan, but the lines are blurry.
Indeed, they are. Indeed.
Nice. Well, I'll say for the record, although this I suppose is not canonical because somebody could reinterpret it, but that letter was a fellow dungeon master's attempt to curb some of the power creep that was introduced into this universe in our last one shot.
I wanted to say that was me. I ruined that.
I decided that what happened was that because whatever, but we had some extremely high-powered bad guys getting killed in our last thing, where it's like, how can we even have a boss after this? How can there be a boss that's more powerful than this? So
Matt got scared of the power curve.
I got scared of the power curve.
Daigo, and the tree that Daigo was in got vined to death.
Yeah, well, the thing that was too powerful was a plant-based mecha type thing that was so powerful that it was able to kill a Tarask, which is like a practically godlike animal creature.
Except that Tarasks come from a planet where they are hunted by bigger Tarasks and other things that are bigger than Tarasks.
Well, there's very little bigger than a Tarask in this world, and now there's not even the plant mech that defeated the Tarask. It's
That's
gone.
Right. That's right.
It exploded and swallowed up a whole city along with a bunch of its teammates. And anyway, they're too far away from here to affect anything. And season 3 is not going to have them in it, probably.
I would not be. So is there any kind? I would imagine that some sort of portal got ripped into the Feywild there, and there's now some sort of, if the predator exists in the Feywild and like predator dogs and stuff like that, I would imagine that this is now, or maybe it opened up into the shadow plane or something, and there's some aberration or abomination kind of source there.
Well, I think what I decided was that it was because Pan is sort of the satyr, the leftover satyr god,
right?
And this is supposedly satyr technology that you're using,
right?
So I sort of decided, hey, you know what? I think Pan is sick of this and doesn't want this going on anymore. So he flipped some sort of metaphysical switch and was like, okay, this power works differently now. You can't use it for this anymore. I don't know. None of that is canonical. Only things that happen in the episodes are canonical for the Starfall Collective world. So that letter is real.
Which is why if you want to shoehorn your lore in like a jerk, you take over for one episode and you have a messenger show up and say, "Sir, I have to read this to you." And you just read your headcanon off.
I've got to read a whole bunch of exposition about the last season.
That's right.
Sorry, it didn't go the way I wanted it
to the east.
That's
yes,
awful.
This was that a little bit. But
no, I thought that was perfect. That was a perfect dovetail. There was nothing
I tried to work it into the story so that it was actually a part of the real story.
There was nothing kludgy or heavy-handed about it. It was fantastic. I loved the mechanic of news traveling quickly and, him having some knowledge. And Aaron, that was really interesting. So you assumed that his flat affect meant that he was just in a simple state of numb
Hey,
shock.
we're actually done. You can go ahead and turn off the stream.
Yeah,
anytime.
I did. Yeah.
But
I
we're
thought
getting
that the news was
insider,
so bad.
cool insider.
Yep.
So you thought that?
Mhm.
Okay.
The reason that I had was that vampires don't care anymore. He was completely focused on like his hiding and his establishing a base here,
Right.
and like building up his like little army of thralls
Hmm.
and vampire